A U.S. senator proposes a $1 million fine for using deepseek. Workday cuts 8.5% of its workforce for AI. New copyright rules allow for use of artificial intelligence. Meta puts new guardrails on its open source. And Chinese researchers strike again with new developments. Welcome to Hashtag Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. A U.S. Senator Josh Hawley has introduced a bill that would make it illegal for Americans to use Chinese-developed AI models, such as DeepSeek. The proposed penalties include fines of up to $1 million and prison sentences of up to 20 years. The legislation also seeks to prohibit academic collaborations with AI researchers in China. Hawley argues that Chinese AI models pose national security risks and that restricting their use would protect U.S. interests. The bill aligns with broader efforts to limit China's influence in the technology sectors and encourage domestic AI development. But critics warn that the bill could hinder academic research and limit international collaboration, potentially restricting access to advancements in AI. Supporters contend that the restrictions are necessary to prevent potential security threats and economic dependence on foreign technology. And if you live in Canada like I do, you may be concerned about economic dependence on foreign technology. If enacted, this legislation could impact businesses, researchers, and developers who use or plan to engage with Chinese AI technologies. It also throws out a lot of questions about what we do about open source models that are created by the Chinese, but not necessarily linked to them and can be used freely anywhere. There's also the practicality of how you'd enforce this, particularly since it's open source and spread throughout the world. There are two questions raised by this. One, is this really to protect American security interests or American commercial interests? And they're two different things. Second is, how would you enforce something like this, particularly in a world with VPNs and encryption? Are we going to make VPNs and encryption illegal as well? Because you're probably going to need to do that. It's one of those ideas that you just might want to think about. Workday, a provider of cloud-based enterprise software for finance and human resources, is laying off approximately 1,750 employees, or 8.5% of its workforce, as it reallocates resources towards artificial intelligence. The company says that restructuring will allow it to invest more heavily in AI and automation, aligning with evolving customer demands. Now, in a memo to employees, CEO Carl Eschenbach stated that Workday must think differently, act boldly, and invest strategically to remain competitive. The company also plans to exit some office spaces and will continue hiring in areas aligned with its AI-driven growth strategy. These layoffs are part of a broader industry trend where major firms are restructuring to prioritize AI. Companies like Google and Microsoft have also recently announced workforce reductions while expanding AI-related initiatives. Some analysts view Workday's move as a necessary shift to ensure long-term profitability, while critics argue that AI-driven job cuts raise concerns about workforce stability. Workforce has assured employees that they will receive severance packages, career support, and in some cases, immigration assistance. Businesses relying on Workday's software may also see increased AI-driven features in future updates. The U.S. Copyright Office has ruled that works created with the assistance of artificial intelligence can qualify for copyright protection, provided they include significant human creativity. This decision clarifies that AI-generated content alone does not meet copyright requirements. That's been established in the past. But human intervention in shaping and modifying AI output can establish legal authorship. The ruling comes amid ongoing legal and ethical debates about AI's role in creative fields. It strengthens the positions of artists, writers, and designers who use AI as a tool rather than a replacement, ensuring that their human contributions remain legally recognized. It also signals that merely prompting an AI model to generate content may not be enough for copyright protection. Instead, creators must demonstrate how their personal input influences the final work. The decision has broad implications for industries increasingly integrating AI into creative workflows. Businesses and professionals relying on AI-generated content will need to document their creative decisions carefully to secure copyright protection. And meanwhile, the ruling could shape future legal battles over AI training data as courts continue to grapple with the intersection of automation and intellectual property rights. Meta has unveiled what it's calling its Frontier AI Framework, a policy designed to assess and manage risks associated with advanced artificial intelligence systems. The framework categorizes AI models into high-risk and critical risk groups, focusing on their potential misuse in areas such as cybersecurity and biosecurity. High-risk AI systems are those that could facilitate cyber attacks or assist in creating biological weapons, but are considered less reliable. Critical risk systems, however, pose a threat for catastrophic outcomes that cannot be mitigated in their deployment context. For high-risk systems, Meta plans to restrict internal use and delay public release until adequate safety measures are implemented. Development of critical risk systems will be held back entirely until their safety can be assured. Meta's risk assessment process relies on insight from both internal and external experts, acknowledging that the current evaluation methods lack robust quantitative metrics. The move comes amid increasing scrutiny of AI's potential misuse, especially as open source models become more widely available. By implementing the Frontier AI Framework, Meta aims to demonstrate its dedication to responsible AI development while distinguishing its approach from other open source offerings, such as DeepSeek, that have fewer safeguards, or even commercial offerings that don't have the safeguards required. In the document, Meta stated that we believe that by considering both benefits and risks in decisions about how to deploy and develop advanced AI, it is possible to deliver that technology to society in a way that preserves the benefits of the technology while also maintaining an appropriate level of risk. The policy comes amid growing scrutiny of AI's potential misuse, especially as open source models gain wider acceptance. A team from Shenzhen MSU BIT University has introduced the PD General Framework, an algorithm that accelerates peridynamic simulations. In small words, that's a method for modeling material fractures and damage. But it accelerates that by up to 800 times. Maximizing NVIDIA's CUDA technology, the framework optimizes the algorithm design and memory management, achieving these performance gains on, wait for it, consumer-grade GPUs like the NVIDIA RTX 4070. Now, peridynamic simulations are computationally intensive, and it limits their practicality for large-scale studies in fields such as aerospace, civil engineering, and defense. This PD General Framework efficiency allows these simulations to run on standard GPUs, reducing reliance on expensive high-performance computing clusters. The advancement could lead to more efficient material testing and development across various industries. The study detailing this breakthrough was published by the Chinese Journal of Computational Mechanics on January 8, 2025. The researchers believe that optimization techniques could be applied beyond peridynamics, potentially enhancing GPU performance for other scientific computations. This development also highlighted that by enabling high-performance simulations on widely available hardware, China can advance research without depending on restricted foreign technology. In the context of the ongoing trade restrictions and sanctions, these innovations are particularly significant. A couple of other quick updates. 11 Labs has added voice to DeepSeek. When you combine this with the Janus Pro image generation that DeepSeek released last week, it's rapidly evolving into a fully fledged open source competitor for OpenAI. And if you thought that was something, the team from ByteDance has released a new image generation model that is only described as scary good. And it can take you from a single picture to a full video, including extremely realistic voice and motion. From just a single picture, you can have a fully animated person that looks virtually indistinguishable from them in real life. Now, they haven't released it yet, and given what it can do in terms of fraud and disinformation, I'm questioning whether they will, except they published so much detail about it that it's hard to believe they can keep it under wraps. I'm a big believer in open source, but totally uncontrolled use of AI without any way to mitigate its negative effects is scientific or governmental malpractice. Take your pick. I have never thought that I would be saying these words, but I agree with Mark Zuckerberg's approach. That confession out of the way, here's the facts. We can blame the companies and people who make AI, but in reality, governments have known this is coming for months and months, and there are virtually no legislative frameworks outside of what's happened in the EU to be able to deal with this reasonably. $1 million fine, putting somebody in prison, a ban. Here's a hint. That's not going to work as long as there are encrypted VPNs. And if we lose encryption and safe transfer of data, we're not only no longer corporately safe, our freedom is no longer safe. And that's our show. Love to hear from you at editorial@TechNewsDay or on LinkedIn, or if you're on YouTube, just leave a comment. Agree? Disagree? It's all good. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a thrilling Thursday.